Welcome to ALP Corner, Family Law in the heart of Houston.
Welcome back to the ALP Corner, Family Law in the heart of Houston with Ms. Allecia L. Pottinger, CEO of the ALP Law Firm. I'm your host, Evan Mack. And today's episode is episode 11, High Conflict Co-Parenting, Setting Boundaries That Actually Work. Ms. Allecia, welcome back. Welcome back.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Let's get right into it. What legally defines a high conflict parenting situation, and how is it different from just not getting along?
You know, there is a very slither thin line. The courts don't actually define it. What ends up happening, it gets defined by the amount of litigation that is happening throughout the course of the case. And so, when you're back, when the court sees, oh, you're back again for a motion for this and a motion for that. And like, this is one of those high conflict divorces or high conflict modifications or contentious original suit where father is trying to establish his parental rights. So, yes. Definitely. It's a matter of what happens during the course of a case, not necessarily a legal definition of high conflict.
When I was growing up, the whole thought process, it was a no-brainer. Typically the courts favor the mother. That was kind of like the narrative that was always drawn. Do you still feel that's a very real thing? Do you think that's something people just would say? Or do you still see the percentages kind of leaning that way when it comes to these difficult situations?
Now, the family code actually says that there's no discrimination based on gender. The court should not make a decision based on gender, but there is a mommy deference, right? And that's probably why my firm and the people who work for me really fight very hard for men. I'm an underdog person. I'm, come from a family. I'm an only child. And so my closest brothers, quote unquote, were my cousins, and they're all men. And so I've seen them go through challenges of life, and it just, I just wanted to get in and fight for them, and I wasn't able to. And so I picked up the mantle and saw that men were not getting their fair shake. And so I started looking out and trying to minimize the baby mama drama for them.
So how can a parenting plan be structured to reduce unnecessary contact and kind of lower that conflict?
There is several ways in which you can create less interaction between the parents. They have what we call co-parenting apps, and those co-parenting apps allow the parent to communicate with the other parent through that app. And what that does is cut down on the back and forth that the other parent has with the other parent. And what you find is that when Big Brother is watching, somebody's watching over, people act a little better when you're in a co-parenting app because they know that information may show up in court. Oh my goodness, better watch what I say, better watch what I type. Let me bring that back, because it may not look good in court that you calling the mother of your child a B, or a father of your child of MF, and all those other expletives that people want to use in language that they want to use to describe the other parent. The other thing is that you can put injunctions in place to say, parent shouldn't make disparaging marks about the other parent. And that sometimes will in front of the children, and that sometimes will bring down the conflict, because if they can't say things in front of the children, that's the only time that they're really, interacting is based on the children. And so that sometimes helps cut down on the conflict there as well.
You talked about the apps, but can courts limit parent to parent communication without reducing parent time?
That is the excellent way that courts can utilize those co-parenting apps in order to facilitate communication between the parents without
Mm,
reducing that time. Some of the apps out there have a feature where you can, what we would say, be able to make phone calls to the child without having to go through the other parent. They can have their own little account. And also another thing that I found that parents have done with court approval, and that's, buy a cell phone so that, or we as practitioners can put time in for the other parent that's not in possession of the child to be able to just make a quick phone call and say, how you doing, baby? How did school
yeah.
go? That type of thing. So there's several ways to work that out and minimize conflict.
So what's the difference between parallel parenting and co-parenting? When is it necessary to switch? Let's because or is there a fine line? Or is it more far apart than we think?
It really is a fine line. The best way that I can describe it is that parallel parenting is probably when you're dealing with your high conflict, parent style, and
Mhm,
co-parenting is collaborative.
mhm,
You're collaborating with the other parent for the best interest of the children. Parallel parenting, during your time, you make your decisions. During my time, I make my decisions, and I'll just do what I do when I do it on my time. And that's the difference between parallel and co-parenting, but not very much. It's just how you choose to operate. I think the co-parenting
mm.
model is a better model, but people sometimes just can't make it
Yep.
work, and so parallel parenting works as well.
Like I find this has to be difficult, but how do you help clients like enforce those boundaries you were talking about in our previous episode without escalating the situation legally, emotionally, physically? How do you do that when you're literally trying to practice the law, but you're dealing with such a complex issue?
That actually starts at the very beginning of the case. And when you set boundaries, people, and you firm on where your boundaries are, people learn. Meaning, I think it was Maya Angelou, or I might have the person wrong. People treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. And so
Mm,
if you
mm.
don't allow people to treat you a certain way, that's setting up a boundary. And what happens is people have to respect that. As if they don't, there'll be consequences to not respecting that boundaries. And so I, as an attorney in situations like that, have to empower my clients in order to set those particular boundaries. It may be it may cause some issues at first, but what you will find is if my client stays the course and basically sets those boundaries, there the less and less and less and less and less time you'll see the other parent pushing and challenging those boundaries.
Have you seen mindset shifts, before or after? Like, let's say before you sat down with the client, there was one way, and then maybe during the course of things, have you seen that shift where they are putting the child first, putting the child's interest first? Do you see that like that kind of like that evolution, like throughout the course of this divorce?
Going through a divorce or going through a custody battle, it's emotional. I get it.
Yeah.
It's emotional. And people lose sight that this is about the children. And
Mm,
so, what they have to do is keep reinforcing. Take a step back, breathe a second, and say, is this really about me or is this about the children? If it's about me,
mm.
let it go. If it's about the children, okay, let's really dig in and let's see where we can get. But the mindset change, it also happens to come with us because, and when I say us, I'm talking about attorneys, because the code is very clear. What is in the best interest of the children? And
Mm.
if you start off telling the client that that's what the courts are going to look at and that's what we have to basically focus in on, you will see that light bulb go off. Thing, that it's not in the best interest of my children. Okay, let's try something different.
Thank you, Miss Alicia. Very informative. Very informative.
Thank you. I
And thank
enjoyed it.
you. I'm having a good time too. I'm learning a lot. It's interesting because like my parents got divorced a long time ago when I was like 9 years old. But it's just the things that you're saying. I'm just kind of remembering like how easy
Mhm,
it was when my mother was like, "Yeah, we cool." They did the co-parenting thing. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
it was
mhm.
the best thing for them, for my family. When you're younger, you don't really understand that. But I one thing I'll never forget is that, like my dad could
Mhm,
always come see me and always hang out.
mhm.
That was a tremendous thing, you know what I mean? As I was
Yes,
navigating life as a young man, you know what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely. So kudos to your mom.
Oh my God, you know, I say that all the time, man. You have no idea. That woman, she's something else. But
Yes.
thank you guys all for listening to me. Thank you all for tuning in to the ALP Corner once again. Family law in the heart of Houston with Miss Allecia L. Pottinger. Now to connect with Miss Alicia and her team at the alplawfirm.com. Like, subscribe, review. You can hear way more information on awesome stuff. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.